Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday from Arni's. Happy birthday to you. Woo!
It's a happy birthday for Tony Visco, 58 years young today, the pride of Mississauga. I'm going to mess it up. All right, I'm going to let you pronounce it.
You got it, Mississauga. You got it.
Mississauga, Ontario. Came and played for the Boilermakers in 1980. Well, it came redshirted in 1983, 84 to 87. 10th on the all-time list in tackles, and that's a trivia question. And for number 49, who played a defensive end for Purdue. First of all, happy birthday! It's all days are good, and it's a special day on Veterans Day in the United States. But 11/11/1963 was a special day.
It was. It's obviously 58th birthday. It's approaches quickly. You don't think about it, Alan. Spent probably with family. My wife, Valerie. Right now, unfortunately, we're traveling for business. We're actually in Louisville, Kentucky. So I've made some meetings today, but this call this morning. And hopefully many more happy birthdays. Trying to stay in great shape and obviously watch what I eat and so forth and so on. But I appreciate the birthday wishes and the opportunity to be on Gold and Black. So.
Tell us a little bit about your professional career, because you've worked with have done a number of different things, but with a tile company, but a little bit of what's keeping you going as your business life.
Well, in my business life, after I left Purdue, graduated in May of '88, I went on and played in the CFL, wrapped that up in the '92 season. After the '92 season, I actually worked in big box Home Depot stores as a manager for a long time, very fast paced, traveling different parts of the country. And then I came to work with this company called Louisville Tile Distributors out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. So that's what's home for me right now, Alan. So I'm kind of but I am the branch manager here, and it's the tile industry, everything from commercial setting to hotels to residential settings to builders and stuff. So I kind of oversee 12 people in my facility. It's a great company. We got some great revenue going on, and it's just a fun place to be. It's couldn't ask for anything better.
Well, in the last 20 months, it's been a challenge for everybody to deal with COVID and all the things that have gone on with that. Supply chain is at a real challenging spot. What have your football career and having to have that kind of toughness and perseverance? I assume that has probably come into play here with your business life over the last period of time.
It is. I mean, it's, as a football player, you take that beating every time you're on that field. You're up against big linemen, big fullbacks, big tight ends and stuff like that. And I think, the football tied into the business world, the routine that we did when we played ball, the discipline. If you wanted to get better, you had to put time in the weight room, you had to put time in the film room. And those traits and characteristics, I think, carried over into the business world and, helped me be who I am. That drive, that desire, to do the best has helped me on the other side as I transitioned, after '92 into the business world. So,
when you look at that in your career, you got off to you came into Purdue in '83, recruited by Coach Leon Burknett, but there was a Canadian connection. Talk about that. Willard Wells, who did a lot of recruiting, was recruiting coordinator, and I think special teams coach, if I remember as well. But there was an interesting connection of a lot of guys that came from Purdue. In fact, another one that I'm talking to later today, if you can believe it, coincidence is unreal, Ernie Schrummeyer as well, because of course he had a big part of the 1988 win at Ohio State. But tell us about that and how you got connected to Purdue and who came knocking on your doorstep up in Ontario to get you to West Lafayette.
Well, that was back in '83. I attended some football camps. I believe some film got distributed. Willard Wells, who was our recruiting coordinator and special teams coach, from Chilliwack, British Columbia, which is on the west coast of Canada and stuff. So he came knocking in. We did a sit down, did a campus visit. Came down, loved it. I was tight end at the time, recruited as a tight end in '83. And that spring ball, we had a shortage at outside linebacker.
Yeah.
And, Willard kind of put it plainly, said, you could possibly be the second, third string tight end, or you could be possibly the number one starting outside linebacker. And that's how I came to the defensive side of the ball. The Canadian connection, Bill Hitchcock, Ernie Schremeyer, Dan Payne, Rob Reynolds. I think Dan and Rob were from the West Coast, British Columbia. Ernie and Bill were from Montreal. So I ended up hosting these guys on their recruiting trip. And so that's how the Canadian connection started. I think, Ernie had that fantastic game in '88 at tailback / fullback there when we played in Ohio State. I was out by then, but, we beat him there. Bill started off as a defensive tackle and got moved to offensive tackle, I think, when Fred Akers came in. And he went on with the Seattle Seahawks. And then Rob and Dan both played both sides of the ball. Mostly offensive tackles. I remember offensive guard and a little bit of defensive tackle. So the Canadian connection, obviously, I must have made a good impression.
You did.
Stuff like that. And, a lot of talent in Canada, a lot of talent in that greater Toronto area, including Mississauga, a lot of great high school kids and athletes in all sports that have come stateside. Obviously, Canada's a great hockey nation. So we got a lot of our student athletes going off to schools like Michigan with hockey programs, or Wisconsin or Michigan State or Notre Dame. So, but it was fantastic to be part of that Canadian movement. And I guess to kind of say a pioneer, from West Lafayette all the way up to Mississauga, Ontario, to recruit a tight end that, played different rules per se. We played the 4 downs in Canadian football up there, but we played on the larger Canadian field, the CFL field. So it was kind of a mix, but it was good. I wouldn't trade those memories and that experience for nothing, Alan. So
that wider Canadian field, that's why you could laterally, you could go and hunt guys down. You were good at that. So from that standpoint. All right. Yeah. Your career starts up, you and Fred Strickland, I think I think Fred was a true freshman in that first game against Notre Dame, but you go out there in the Hoosier Dome, the old RCA Dome way back in the day, the dedication game. Purdue's a big underdog. You go in and beat Notre Dame and have a magical, your redshirt freshman year. You're the only team in Purdue history to beat Ohio State, Michigan, and Notre Dame in the same year. But talk about what that was like. I mean, you go in there, not only the Hoosier Dome, but then also to beat Ohio State and Keith Byers in '84 was unbelievable. What a way to start your college football career.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the Hoosier Dome, it was the inauguration game. For that stadium. So of course, a lot of exposure, TV, papers, everything else, and just to come in there and frenzy, crazy, just like this past game with Purdue upsetting Michigan State.
Right.
Just the energy in the stands, the fans, the alumni, the players, and then to beat all three, Michigan and Ohio State at home. No one would have expected that. I think Leon, brought us together. Coach Burtnett brought us together. It's like, you got nothing to lose, gentlemen. You know what? Lay it on the line, play it like it's your last game, and just have fun. And that's what we did. When we beat Ohio State at home, and they came rushing onto the field just like they did last weekend, and just being mobbed by the fans, trying to get your helmet, tugging on your shoulder pads, and unbelievable. I mean, just to feel the appreciation from everybody, the fan base, the student body, the alumni were there, the alumni that you met after the game. I mean, just all out effort from all the guys. Rod Woodson was on that squad. Kevin Sumlin was there. Jason Houston was there. Kevin Hawley, all these great guys. Chris Dishman, Fred Strickland, you mentioned. So great guys, and we stayed kind of in contact through the Facebook or instant messaging, but to experience that, words are difficult to put in place.
Yeah.
Just a feeling of unbelievableness. You're on cloud nine, and you just get swallowed in with everybody else. Just the excitement, and sometimes it's a blur, Alan, to be honest with you. It's just a blur of just like, man, did we just beat Ohio State? Did we just beat Michigan? Did we just beat Notre Dame? Are we going to a bowl? And all that stuff. It's just awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Well, there are going to be a lot of Purdue players. In fact, I think all of the Purdue players that will have the experience you had in 1985 of going to Ohio State and playing in that great facility. Purdue will have that opportunity this Saturday in Columbus. They haven't played there since 2012, if you can believe that, at Ohio Stadium. What is that like for you? If you had to chase around number 41 Keith Byers, that wasn't fun, wasn't easy. But what were your memories of walking into that stadium and what it's like to play in Columbus? It's one of the great venues of all sports.
It is. When we did the pregame warm up, we got to go out on the field before the fans would get into the stands, and so just to walk in and just marvel at that facility. 90,000 roughly, maybe a little bit more now, Alan.
Yeah.
And you just get that all because, for me, a Canadian kid, I'm watching them on national TV, CBS back home in Mississauga, or NBC or ESPN, and to be there. And then the fan base, unbelievable fan base that they have, loud stadium, very loud stadium. You get that fans going, that 12th man per se, but to be in that horseshoe, and you think of all the players that were in Archie Griffin in that Keith Byers in there. I mean, all these great names that played for that school, and that stadium just it's magical because Ohio State, you think football, you think the horseshoe, you think all of that TV exposure they've had over the years, so forth and so on. So, I mean, just a great facility.
Yeah, going to be a great challenge for Purdue. It's interesting because the '84 season, really, in the 2021 season, are kind of shaping up some similarities to it. I mean, the fact that you guys had that year as your redshirt freshman year of beating those teams and beating a number 2 ranked Ohio State team in West Lafayette. Of course, Purdue this year has beat number 2 ranked Iowa, number 5 Michigan State. But if you were in that locker room on Saturday and in Columbus and and Jeff Brom asked you to give the fire up speech, what's your message to those guys heading into that game in Columbus?
I would say, believe in yourself, believe in your teammates. You can grab and seize that opportunity. You play for each other. No one expects you to compete. We weren't ranked at the beginning of the season. We were ranked after beating Iowa. Put everything else aside, put the media aside, look in this room, look at your brothers in this room, and go out, have fun, leave it all on the field, play with great sportsmanship, and, go Boilers. Just a real simple, to the point. So
it's going to be a fun opportunity to do it. All right. So are you going to get a little bit of time today? You're on the road in Louisville. You said, will you get a chance for a little birthday dinner or FaceTime with family? How is that all going to work for you?
Well, the birthday dinner after we finish up here in Louisville, we're headed up actually to West Lafayette to see my daughter.
Right.
So we are heading up there.
And she's at Purdue.
Well, she graduated from Purdue.
Okay.
So she actually works in Lafayette for the children's services and the court services there. So we will be having dinner with her later this evening, and just kind of spending the weekend with her, and probably get back on campus, Alan, tour the campus. It's been a few years since the pandemic and everything else, and swing on by the old athletic complex. And
but you won't believe it. I'm just telling you, the way the university and the high rises and everything, it's crazy. But hey, go ahead. I didn't mean to
so that's that will be the weekend pretty well. Just kind of kick back with my wife Valerie and my daughter and her fiance Nathan. So just enjoy a great kind of birthday weekend.
All right. Well, have a great trip and safe trip up to West Lafayette later today. And that birthday is, like I said, something always worth celebrating. And they could use Boilermakers could use number 49 now. Number 5 isn't too bad. George Karloff.
No, he's not. He's not. I've watched him.
But Purdue's got a good linebacking core and guys that can put pressure on the quarterback. That is what Tony Visco did during his career. Purdue 351 career tackles, ranks 10th in the part of some really good Purdue football teams and very memorable Purdue teams. So have a great day, Tony. Thanks so much for your time. And thanks to Arni's for sponsoring this. We appreciate that. And we'll look forward to, hopefully we'll see you up for a game here before long as well.
Okay. I appreciate it, Alan. Thank you.